Welcome, Crypto Fam, to No One Daily Bitcoin Pod. In today's show, I'll be breaking down the latest Bitcoin technical analysis. Now, breaking news, Senator Lummis said President Trump is with us on her bill of buying 1 million Bitcoin. It's a happening. We'll also be discussing the latest with the crypto exchange traded products, seeing 1.7 billion worth of outflows, the longest streak yet since 2015. We'll also be discussing MicroStrategy makes their smallest Bitcoin purchase on date. On record, at least. We'll also be discussing the Bank of Korea to take cautious approach to the Bitcoin reserve, as well as the Central Bank of Russia issues a proposal allowing wealthy high net worth individuals to trade Bitcoin and crypto. I'll be breaking down this latest report, as well as Bitcoin to $1 million. Samson reveals the new timeline. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. But anyways, if you're new to the channel, very important, smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, ring the bell, turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto newsletters every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is spot episode number 1936. I'm your host, JV, and today is March 17th, 2025. We're going to kick it off with our market watch. Let me pull up Coin 360. You should be able to see here on your screen, a Bitcoin correcting, trading just above 83,800 at the time of the live stream. While many of the alts are breaking out, but very modest gains. Ether up 0.3%, still trading below 2,000. Will it recover back above 2,000 here? Let me know. XRP down 1%, trading at $2.35. BNB in the green, Tron in the green, XLM in the green. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto total market cap is at 2.74 trillion. We've been pretty stagnant for the past week or two. And the Bitcoin market cap is all the way down to 1.6 trillion. We got roughly 72 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And the current Bitcoin dominance today is 60.7%, with the Ether dominance at 8.5%. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got Cake up 38%, Binary X up 12%, and Axie Infinity up 5.5%, followed by Curve DAO and Pepe. Which alts are you bullish on for the bull? Holla, let me know. And checking out the crypto bubbles. As you can see, the majority of the market pumping in the green. We love to see. But to put things in perspective, zooming out on the monthly, 95% of the mark, total bloodshed, total wreck city. Many of these top alts down 30, 40, 50 plus percent. Like it ain't no thing, but a chicky wing. And also checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index today. We're at 32 fear. Yesterday, 30. Last week at 20 in extreme fear. And last month of 50 neutral. And checking out the time chain calendar. We have 161,809 blocks to the next halving in 2028. Currently on block number 888,191. And you currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,196 sats. To pick up the sats, put down the gats, pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. And if you don't know, now you know, broskies. Let's dive into today's astrology for the broskies. Bitcoin bullish cross with a 50% plus average return flashes again, my friend. That's right. We're talking about the Biddy Stochastic RSI, Relative Strength Index, printing a bullish cross with a history of preceding sharp price rebounds. The Stochastic RSI tracks momentum based on price movements relative to the range over a given period. This classic indicator operates between 0 and a hundo, with values above 80 considered overbought and below 20 deemed oversold. A crossover of the blue percentage K line above the orange, as outlined here in the chart, from an oversold region technically suggests growing upwards momentum. So another 120,000 Bitcoin price target emerges in flow with that on the weekly chart. We're sitting at the 124, which I'll pull up here shortly. Historical fractals show that each time the weekly stochastic RSI made a bullish cross, Bitcoin underwent sharp price recoveries within 3 to 5 months. Its gains have averaged at around 56% during such rebounds, including rallies that extended beyond the 90% return mark. That includes a roughly 90% rally from November of 2022 lows, 92% gains in late 2023, and a staggering 98% move in Bitcoin's recent all-time high of around 110,000 in January. And to be precise, that was Inauguration Day for the Trumpster, Jan 20th in the morning before he was sworn in. We hit 109.3, which is current price discovery. So if history repeats, Bitcoin could see another parabolic rise by July or August, aligning with previous stochastic RSI bullish crosses that delivered outsized returns. As this trader hints right here, history doesn't lie. Bitcoin is about to send full send. Stock RSI, short for stochastic, bullish cross just flashed. Every time this happens, Bitcoin pumps of an average of 56%. So 120,000 is just the start. That's right. That's only a pit stop. We're heading to a milli. Another bullish sign comes from the hedge fund accumulation during the ongoing price correction. Global crypto hedge funds are increasing their BITI exposure, as seen in the latest rolling 20-day beta to Bitcoin, which has surged to a 4-month high. This suggests institutional investors buying into the dip. You already know, Saylor, what did he just make a $21 billion announcement the other day, and he just bought some more Bitcoin in an official announcement he made today. I'll be sharing that with you here shortly. So you already know they're positioning themselves for the upside because that's what the smart money does. The beta is now at a 4-month high, meaning hedge funds believe the recent Bitcoin dip is a buying opportunity and expect higher prices ahead. Exactamundo, reinforcing the 120,000 price outlook as discussed above. And you guys let me know if you feel we'll likely smash that. And Cynthia Lummis recently spoke out and said President Trump is with us on her bill, which she reintroduced to the Senate, of buying 1 million BTC. My response, why so bearish? Saylor is proposing Trump to buy 25% of the Bitcoin supply, which is 5 million, 5x that mofo. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm going to be pulling up some of the live charts here. We'll do a little live chart action, Jackson satisfaction for the broskies and for the bitty baddies. Here's a 1-minute chart. There's a rising wedgie formation sensation. And zooming out, we'll go to the hour and let's see what we got here. Good stuff. 2 super bull targets. The most bull target falling wedge scenario here, 108.270. We also have a green target, inverted head and shoulders sitting just above $93,000. And again, this is the hourly chart live via Coinbase via TradingView. And checking out the 4-hour chart, as you can see here, also 2 bull targets. In the green, sitting at 113.7, and in the red, sitting just above 108.2, and also a rising wedge overall formation. And zooming out, we check out the daily, and as you can see, thus far today has been printing green. Yesterday was corrective. We have 2 bull targets on the daily. One is 115,395, and we also have a target just shy of that, 113,702. And zooming out from the daily, take a quick look at a weekly. And this is going to coincide with what I just shared with you of 120 being the next leg up as per the stochastic RSI. Well, the weekly chart has a sexy cup and handle pattern, which has been here for many, many months. We cover it every day. So, I mean, at this point, it should feel like deja vu, but it is sitting at 124,000. Unfortunately, we had a big negative weekly close the prior week. We just had another close yesterday, and it's an itty-bitty green, pretty much meaning we've been trading sideways. Where do we go from here? You guys let me know your thoughts, and we'll take a quick look at the monthly chart as well. Monthly chart, February was, disappointing to say the least. It was a super mega bear candle, as you can see in the red there. January, we had an itty bitty bull candle. December was an itty bitty red corrective candle. And November was the biggest green candle we have seen yet. Let me know how you feel will likely fare for the rest of this month of March before we enter April. Holla at your boy. But let's discuss these ETP outflows, which is part of the reason Bitcoin's been struggling. Check it. Headline reads, crypto ETPs, which are exchange-traded products, see 1.7 billion of outflows. This is the longest outflow streak since 2015. That's right. Crypto ETPs continue seeing massive selling last week, recording the 5th week of outflows in a row, 1.7 billion leaving the market after seeing slightly softening outflows of 876 million the previous week. Crypto ETP liquidations accelerated during the past trading week, bringing the total 5-week outflows to 6.4 billion. Damn. The ongoing outflow strike has also marked the 17th straight day of outflows, the longest negative streak since CoinShares started records in 2015. Despite notable negative sentiment, year-to-date inflows remain positive, but barely at 912 million, less than $1 billion worth of inflows overall. After seeing the 756 million of outflows the first week of March, Bitcoin ETP saw increased selling in the trading week from March 10th to the 14th, seeing a further 978 million of outflows. The 5-week sell-in streak brought the total Bitcoin ETP outflows to 5.4 billion, leaving just 612 million of year-to-date inflows by March 14th. Both Ether and Solana ETPs saw 175 million and 2.2 million of outflows. And respectively XRP. ETPs continue to go against the trend, seeing a further 1.8 million of inflows, which is practically nothing. And according to the CoinShares data, European crypto ETP provider 21 Shares recorded the largest liquidations amongst the issuers last week, totaling 534 million of outflows. So it's just outflows across the board. Despite significant selling in Europe, the US still saw the largest outflows amongst the analyzed regions. It must be the majority coming from, I would assume, BlackRock's IBIT, with 1.2 billion leaving the crypto ETP market. And here's the actual breakdown. Yep, iShares leading the pack, followed by Grayscale, Fidelity, ARK, and Bitwise. BlackRock, the largest crypto holder amongst all issuers, saw 401 million worth of outflows, with month-to-date outflows expanding 594 million. ProShares is the only tracked major issuer that still has 2 million of inflows. Again, practically nothing. ProShares is also one of the 3 major issuers that managed to maintain inflows year-to-date by March 14th, including firms like BlackRock and ARK. And additionally, Binance saw almost all its assets under management wiped out by a seed investor exit, leaving just 15 million left. And if you don't know, now you know. Let's continue with some of the news, shall we? Next story of the day, here's the latest from the Giga Chad. Headline reads, MicroStrategy makes their smallest Bitcoin purchase on record. Oh no, I was anticipating the $21 billion purchase, and it's the lowest one on record. Go figure. March 17th, they officially announced the latest 130 Bitcoin acquisition, bought for around 10 million. Peanuts, Sailor. Why are we even dealing with these rookie numbers? At an average price of $83,000 per Bitcoin, the latest Bitcoin purchase was made using proceeds from the STRK ATM, the new strategy program looking to raise up to 21 billion in fresh capital. So yeah, maybe this was their test acquisition. Strategy's new 130 Bitcoin is the smallest one ever recorded since the company announced its first purchase of 21,000 Bitcoin for 250 million back in August of 2020. I'd say that was a hell of a buy, right? I don't know the average cost on that, but that was back when Bitcoin was actually more affordable, clearly, back in 2020. 21,000 Bitcoin for 250 million. I dare say Bitcoin was probably ballpark 10 to 14,000 per coin. Correct me if I'm wrong, broskies. But with the new purchase, Strategy and its subsidiaries now hold 499,226 BTC, acquired at an aggregate purchase price of approximately $33 billion at an average purchase price of around 66,000 per BTC, inclusive of fees and expenses. After buying 130 BTC, Strategy is yet to buy 744 Bitcoin to reach a holdings of 500,000 BTC. As Sailor announced here, Strategy acquired 130 Bitcoin for 10.7 million at 82,981 per bitty, achieving a Bitcoin yield of 6.9% year to date 2025. Now, according to Strategy's website, the company's Bitcoin yield now stands at 6.9%, significantly lower than its 15% target for the year. And despite the bitty price falling to a month low of actually 77, roughly 76, 77 a few days ago, Strategy's latest buy is significantly smaller than its most recent buys and the smallest ever announced by the firm. And prior to the latest purchase, the smallest Bitcoin purchase by Strategy was 169 Bitcoin all the way back in August of 2024. And so far in 2025, Strategy has acquired a whopping 51,656 Bitcoin. We're only the third month into the year. So Sailor's been going ham. That's an average of like over 15,000 Bitcoin per month. And yeah, so you already know. But let me know your thoughts on the latest with the Giga Chad, the one and only Michael Saylor. But anyways, fam, keep the comments flowing. I greatly appreciate it. Next story of the day, we'll be discussing some central bank adoption, at least them entertaining it and their thoughts. Yesterday, we focused on North Korea and the U.S. Well, now let's discuss South Korea and then the Bank of Russia. And then we'll tap into Samson Mao's latest update with his 1 million bitty price prediction. This headline reads, Bank of Korea to take cautious approach to Bitcoin reserve. That's right. The Bank of Korea says it's taken a cautious approach to potentially including Bitcoin as a foreign exchange reserve. Officials from the Korean Central Bank said on March 16th, response to a written inquiry, that they have not looked into a potential Bitcoin reserve, citing high volatility, which in my opinion means they did look into it, because for them to report saying we did not look into it, I mean, how much looking into do you really need to do? But I digress. Responding to a question from Representative Cha Gwen-jiem of the National Assembly Planning and Financial Committee, central bankers said that they have neither discussed nor reviewed the possible inclusion of Bitcoin in foreign exchange reserves. Like I said, I trust nothing no government says. And if they're going to make an official announcement that they're not looking into it after Trump already established a strategic Bitcoin reserve and signed an executive order for it, I'm calling bullshit. But you guys let me know your thoughts. Quoting them here, Bitcoin's price volatility is very high. As if that's a bug. That's a feature, mofos. The central bank noted before adding, in the case of cryptocurrency market instability, transaction cost to cash out Bitcoins could rise drastically. It's really never been a problem. So again, it just goes to show you the FUD they're trying to spread, in my opinion. Over the past 30 days, Bitcoin prices swung wildly between 98 and 76 before settling at the current level, just above 83, on the cusp of 84 right now, and a 15% decline since February 16th. The decision comes amid increasing global discussions on the role of the crypto assets and national financial strategies, sparked by Trump's executive order earlier in the month and establishing the strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile. And at a seminar March 6th, crypto industry lobbyists and some members of Korea's Democratic Party, there's the problem, Democratic Party, urged the country to integrate Bitcoin into the national reserves and develop a won-backed stablecoin. Interesting. However, the Bank of Korea emphasized that its foreign exchange reserves must have liquidity and be immediately usable when needed. Well, there's nothing more liquid than Bitcoin. I mean, come on now. As well as credit rating of investment grade or higher criteria that Bitcoin does not meet, in its opinion. Interesting. Professor Yang of the Catholic University of Korea, that's interesting in of itself, stating it's appropriate for foreign exchange to be held in proportion to the currencies of the countries which we trade. And Professor Kang from the Case Graduate School of Finance commented on the U.S. being likely to leverage stablecoins rather than Bitcoin to maintain dollar, before adding whether the IMF will recognize stablecoins as foreign exchange reserves in the future is important. And earlier in the month, South Korea's financial regulator examined the Japanese Financial Services Agency legislative trend towards crypto assets, and it mulls lifting a ban on crypto exchange traded funds in the country. Well, there you have it. Well, nonetheless, the global hash war continues, and whether South Korea is a part of it or not, I mean, really they're lost at the end of the day. North Korea, we already know, the third largest holder of Bitcoin, and the United States is up there, but half of the United States' current stockpile belongs to the Bitfinex users who got hacked, because the hackers steal the money from the retail users, and then the government steals the money or confiscates it from the hackers, but the government has yet to return the stolen proceeds to where it belongs. Next story of the day. Here's the latest with the Bank of Russia as the global hash war is in full effect. And then we'll dive into Samson Mao's 1 million price prediction. Check it. The Central Bank of the Russian Federation reportedly released a proposal that, if approved, would allow qualified entities to trade crypto assets. In a statement, the central bank proposes a 3-year experiment where wealthy investors and certain firms have to green light to buy and sell crypto assets. Reporting Reuters, the Central Bank of Russia says the experiment is designed to boost transparency in crypto trading, but warns participants can lose money dabbling in crypto assets. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Quoting them here, this is a new status that citizens will receive in their investments and securities and deposits exceed 100 million rubles, which is $1.15 million, or if their income over the past year was more than 50 million rubles, which is 575,000 USD. Now, back in July of 2020, Russia enacted a law that banned the use of cryptos, such as the biddy, to purchase goods and services in the country. But the European giant appears to be softening its stance on digital assets after the U.S. and its allies imposed crippling sanctions against Russia for the war in the Ukraine. Now, in September, the country passed a bill that enabled legal entities and registered entrepreneurs to mine digital assets. Reports also emerged last year that Russia will try to use the national payment card system to trade rubles and crypto assets when testing payments in the exchange platform. The NSPK was created in 2014 and is wholly owned by the Central Bank of Russia, but was placed under sanctions in February of last year by the United States Department of Treasury. And if you don't know, now you know. Now for our feature story of the day. Bitcoin to 1 million per coin. Samson reveals his timeline. So I'll be sharing a couple of recent tweets from the founder of Jan 3. Shout out Samson helping usher in nation state Bitcoin adoption with many heads of state, presidents, prime ministers, etc., including, Prime Minister of Japan, the president of Colombia, the senator over in Mexico, etc. So shout out again to Samson. He recently tweeted, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that you'll always be able to buy Bitcoin with fiat. And I dare say the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you that Satan did not exist." And someone responded here. So you're calling for Bitcoin equals infinity and Euro Bitcoin equals infinity. Now I'm curious, what's a Euro Bitcoin? And so on. So how far do you see into the future? Josh Mann writes, I can sometimes see out a year, but I think that's been more helpful to me than 1,000 years or whatever. Even when Saylor says 13 million, I think that's pretty far off and not at all a straight line. Well, never a straight line. Can you tell me when 1 million? As for me, I will be taking some chips off the table at 440,000. Easy to say, never sell your biddies when you have plenty of fiat to buy groceries with. And he makes some good points here. And I'm also curious, do you guys have like a certain fiat value that once Bitcoin hits it, you're also going to be, taking some chips off the table, maybe to, pay off your mortgage or do something with? Let me know. I'm curious. Samson responded right here. My model says 1 million in 2031. So according to his model, 2031. But his feeling, which trumps his model, says this year or next. So he's still a firm proponent that we're in a bull cycle clearly, and that we're yet to hit the cycle peak, and he still firmly believes we'll hit it this year, and if not this year in 2025, it would prove the theory of the extended bull cycle, because this would be the first time we don't peak out the year preceding the halving. We all know we had the halving, I think it was April 19th of last year, so typically, if history is to rhyme, we'd see the peak this year, so he's also a proponent that we have an extended super cycle. And so She Bitcoins responded, you mentioned that sometimes you can't fill a bid. Isn't it fair then to say it'll become difficult for the average person to buy a meaningful amount of Bitcoin? Sure, they'll be able to collect sats, but I liken it to collecting gold dust. And she makes some good points too. It will become increasingly more difficult, especially with a legitimate supply shock. I mean, anything can happen. And looking at some other recent tweets from Samson, he wrote, the U.S. digital Fort Knox will now be called Fort Nakamoto. I'm all for that. Let's update it from Fort Knox to Fort Nakamoto, especially after we audit it and see that the gold is missing. What are your thoughts on that? And he says, I have spoken. Fort Nakamoto. Send it. Now, also, what's more likely, he tweeted a couple of days ago, Saylor goes from 500,000 to 1 million Bitcoins, or the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve accumulates 1 million coins. Between those two, what do you think happens first? I'm going to speculate Saylor gets to 1 million coins first, though I would prefer the United States to get to 1 million coins first. And let me give you my logic, because Saylor's purchasing insane amounts of Bitcoin and just made an announcement of raising another 21 billion in convertible notes. And once you put 21 more billion into buying Bitcoin, it's going to shoot right on up to the 700,000 range. So Michael Saylor could realistically achieve 1 million Bitcoin status before the end of the year. And that's probably his goal. The U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve for the United States, I think it's going to take a longer time because it has yet to still be approved by like the Senate and Congress. And even though Cynthia Lummis is proposing for it, I believe their plan, which originally was read at the conference last year, was acquiring 200,000 new Bitcoin per year. So that's like a 5-year plan. So I'm pretty positive Saylor's most likely going to hit 1 million coins before the U.S. and will continue. U.S. Bitcoin bonds buy 200 billion of Bitcoin and 2 million coins if at 100,000. I mean, do you think the government will likely do that? I mean, I think they should. It's the hardest asset to ever exist. Not only should they do that with these Bitcoin bonds, they should also offload their gold and trade it into the hardest asset ever created. And they should also print the money out of thin air on one of those 14 computers. Elon Musk just came out and disclosed that the U.S. government has 14 magical computers that just like to print money out of thin air. Well, convert that money out of thin air into the hardest asset to ever exist. And why not? Bitcoin goes to 1 million fast. It can happen. It absolutely can happen. But the $1 million question, when will it happen? Will it happen this year? Will it be faster than most people's expectations, or will it be a long, steady ride? Maybe in the year 2030, as Kathy Wood or other models are projecting. Let me know your thoughts. Another positive powerful post he wrote. Some Bitcoiners are saying the strategic Bitcoin reserve doesn't do anything because it's just seized assets and they are not buying. And I'm also getting this feedback a lot as well from people I know, and they're missing the boat. So let's break this down. Well, there will be buying. There are a number of budget neutral ways. That's the key word. They're allowed to acquire Bitcoin as long as it doesn't cost taxpayers any money, which would be a budget neutral way to acquire Bitcoin, such as issuing Bitcoin bonds or selling gold. Give it some time. Howard Lutnick will get her did. Next, the significance of the strategic Bitcoin reserve creation is immense. The test legitimized Bitcoin as an asset class. That's a good point. And opened the door for institutional investments. Today, with the stroke of a pen, the POTUS has equivocated Bitcoin with gold. Digital gold, baby. The strategic Bitcoin reserve is a digital Fort Knox. Fort Knoxamoto. Let that sink in. The real race for the nation state BIDI adoption really begins. The strategic Bitcoin reserve also means we will finally get an official audit. About time. For how much Bitcoin the U.S. actually has. Every figure we have now is simply an estimate, and we know the U.S. Marshals have been selling off Bitcoin for the last few years. So the truth is we really don't know how much Bitcoin the U.S. really has in their possession. It is likely the U.S. has 112,000 Bitcoin or less, because 95,000 of those Bitcoin belong to Bitfinex and will be returned. It does not have the 207 to 220,000 Bitcoin number that many news sites repeat each and every day. This would put China in pole position with 194,000 Bitcoin, making China the leader of the world when it comes to Bitcoin adoption. And again, North Korea, potentially then the second. They have more Bitcoin than the United States if we put it all into perspective. Now, you can imagine that why that won't be acceptable. With Bitcoin being deemed as strategic, the U.S. will want to have the most. There will definitely be an audit of the supply, and then adding to it, competition is good for Bitcoin, hence the term global hash wars, coined by Max Kaiser, which is a fancy term for game theory, because now that the now that the United States made the announcement of stacking the BIDI, many other countries are likely doing the same thing behind closed doors. And as you can see here, United States, roughly 112,000 Bitcoin, El Salvador, over 6,000, the UK, 61,000, as we mentioned yesterday. North Korea, thanks to their infamous Lazarus hacker group, they now have like close to 200,000 Bitcoin, making them one of the largest in the world. And then you have the Kingdom of Bhutan, 13,000 Bitcoin. Finland, just shy of 2,000 Bitcoin. The Ukraine, 46,000 Bitcoin. And again, China, probably the largest in the world now, right next to North Korea. And if you don't know, now you know. And again, welcome everyone to the live stream. Give it up for your new chairman of the SEC, Nippinator. I've always wondered how Bitcoin would reach $250,000 to $1 million a coin, but it makes sense when all these companies and countries create their own reserves. Dingo was his name, Bo.